Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this the worst real estate market since 2007? Are we about to crash? More on that
right after this.
Hi, if this is your first time here and you wanted to learn all there is to know about living, eating, biking, boating, beaching,
dining, shopping, golfing, buying a home,
anything that you can imagine when it comes to Southwest Florida, you've come to the right place. Our goal is to show you all about Southwest Florida so you can experience this paradise too. We've helped many people just like you relocate from all over the world and settle here in Southwest Florida. Today, we're going to be talking about, is the real estate market crashing? Okay, so with that being said, the housing market's slowing down, right, across the country. We have lots and lots of real estate friends, and our job is to know what's happening in the market, and we're just hearing a lot of chatter.
That's a great point. So there's a lot of information out there circulating. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily good information. So be careful about your source of where you're getting your info from. Definitely want to provide the latest and greatest information of what's happening now so that we can keep you guys super updated on all things Southwest Florida.
Absolutely. And that being said, in order to do that and keep you all educated and keep you comfortable with what's happening so you know exactly what's happening, I'm going to show you some charts at the end of this video. If you stick around to the end, we're going to share with you charts, what's happening right now as of today in our real estate market so that you can make your decisions that you need to make.
Right.
Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what do we want to talk about first?
So, is this the worst housing market since 2007? It's kind of hard to say because, again, we don't really know what's in front of us just yet. We know something's coming, but we're not sure. But what we are seeing is, if you're looking at market indicators and things like that, you're following that sort of stuff, you know that interest rates are on the rise. So what does that mean when interest rates start to go up? The affordability goes down. So to put some math to that, I guess, give you guys like a real life example of that. So the payment on a $450,000 home at a 3% interest rate is the same as a payment on a $316,000 home at a 6% interest rate. So that decreases your buying power by $134,000.
That's crazy. That's a hard pill to swallow if you're a buyer.
It really is, because if you're a buyer and you're out looking at $450,000 homes, you've been looking for a little while, the market's been tough, you've been getting beat out by other offers, and then interest rates shoot up, and now you can only afford a $316,000 home. I'm just going to tell you that everything at $316,000 is going to look like crap after you've been shopping $134,000 higher than that.
I'm going to go ahead and say I would probably get cold feet if that happened to me.
Yeah.
At least they'd be saying I got cold feet, but really I'd be looking at like, what the heck?
Right. And so to put that into perspective, in our market here in Southwest Florida, that could be the difference at $450,000 of getting a pool home and then having to drop down to $316,000 and not getting a pool home, which is a big deal. A lot of people want to have a home with a pool in this market whenever they move here. So, it's substantial.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's the thing. And when the buyer power decreases, theoretically, listing prices should go down with it. So there should be some sort of cushion there. So maybe at some point in the future, you'll be able to get homes a little bit cheaper here. Maybe not, but we'll find out. I got to tell them what's happening right now. So,
we know for sure that if things keep going at this rate, for the track that we're currently on, demand is sure to fall at this pace.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about our experience with the last recession, what we saw with home prices and things like that. I guess the first thing that we want to say is, does this look the same to you?
It does not. It looks completely different.
And this isn't our first time, just so everybody watching knows, Lona and I's like 20 years in the real estate business as of when? Let's see, maybe next year, because our 20th year.
Licensed.
Yeah,
I've
licensed.
been in real estate for a little longer
Longer
than
than
that,
yeah.
but
In the industry and around, right? And but I guess the whole point of that is just to tell you that we were here during the last recession, like 2007, not here in Florida, but in real estate in 2007. And we watched the market climbing at an astronomical pace. And at that time, just so everybody knows, I was also a real estate appraiser.
right.
And I was doing appraisals and selling homes, working a lot. And I had this awesome supervising appraiser who watched everything I did. He had to sign off on my work. And I remember him telling me, his name was Bill. And I remember Bill telling me, this is going to end. This bubble's going to pop. And I was a young lad at the time. I was probably around my early 20s. And I remember hearing him say that. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
It was hard to imagine, right? Because 2004 to 2006, it was like shooting fish in a barrel, right? Every realtor's phone was ringing off the hook. Nobody had to go out and hard prospect to get business. It was just falling into their lap.
Yeah. And just to kind of like, and tell you the story with that is, Bill was old school and he had been appraising for a long time, and we'd work out in the basement of his appraisal business. And I remember specifically at that time, him telling me that, and he had this old fax machine down in the basement. And what would happen is loan officers would send us a blank piece of paper on a fax machine. They would write on there, here's the address, 4242 whatever street. Can you get 400,000? Like, and what they're asking is, can you appraise this for 400,000? Can you appraise it? And if we said no, they would just find another appraiser.
Mm-hmm.
So what was happening is, at that point in time, loan officers we didn't have any regulation over what was happening from a loan industry standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember,
Mm-hmm.
you could just say, I make whatever amount of money.
Yeah, that was called a stated loan.
Literally, yeah, stated loan. Somebody told me the other day, they said, I remember getting a loan at that point in time. And when I sat down with my loan officer, I showed him my income. He said, you don't make enough money to afford this home. And the guy says, I said to the loan officer, how much money do I need to make? And the loan officer said, you need to make X amount of dollars. And he said, that's how much I make. And then he got the house. He bought a house at that time.
Yeah, because you could just state that and not have to show any proof of it. No tax returns, no pay stubs, nothing.
So there was no oversight. There was no regulation in the loan, from the loan side of things, mortgage side of things. That's very different than it is today, right?
Oh, yes. It's hard to get a mortgage now. You
Yeah.
got to jump through a lot of hoops to get financing on a home,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. Another thing that we saw a lot of prior to the 07-08 crash was, stated loans. Also, the lenders were giving out 100% financing. So you could go and get a 90% first mortgage on a house. And if you didn't have the other 10% down payment, don't worry. They'll give you a line of credit so that you have all of the monies needed to buy that house.
Yep. And why is this important? Why are we telling you the stories from back then? Because we started this video out saying, are we repeating 2007? Well, we can't repeat 2007. I don't feel like we can repeat 2007 because we're not looking at the same. It's not the same parameters. It's not the same circumstances. We don't have, as an example, 50 or 60%, something like that, of our buyers here. I don't know the exact number. I know us specifically, we're right on 50 or 60% of our buyers are cash buyers buying homes.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit higher. I've heard it's between 60 and 70%.
And I've heard different numbers. And I guess it doesn't matter because either way, that's a high number, no matter where that falls. If it's 50%, that's still a high number of cash buyers. So just think about that for a minute. Half of the buyers here in Southwest Florida have 100% equity in their homes.
Right. And so interest rates rising it's not going to affect them, right?
Yeah.
They're going to buy cash regardless.
Yeah. So yeah, the circumstances are different. Obviously, we're seeing things with crypto crashing, the stock market crashing, and things like that. And the federal government having to do things to try to combat it, whether it's the right or wrong thing to do. So I guess that kind of leads us to our next thing is it a bad time to buy right now?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you think? Is it a bad time to buy?
I'm of the mindset that it depends on what you want to do with the real estate, right? Maybe if you bought a house today and your intention was to flip that house in a few months from now, and we see demand decline because rates are going up, or prices correct a little bit and start to fall back down some, then yeah, that could be a bad time to buy in that scenario. But if you're planning on buying something and holding it for a while, and you can ride the wave of whatever this next market is going to give us, I still personally feel like real estate is the most solid investment that you can make. When we have money in the stock market, and that money's just out there. It's not tangible. I can't see it, touch it, feel it. I have no control over what's going on with it.
If we had to sell it today, we would lose our assets.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Is basically what that boils down to. We've got a lot of shares in some companies, and yeah, if we had to sell today, we'd be up shit creek without a paddle.
Literally, yeah.
So, but is it a bad time to buy here? So look at this. A lot of people come here to Southwest Florida because they want to live this lifestyle. A lot of people don't have the luxury of time. They're in retirement right now. They want to start enjoying life, regardless of what's happening economically. So if you're coming down to Southwest Florida and you want to enjoy this lifestyle, you have a choice: buy or rent. And if you rent, then 100%. What's your interest rate if you rent? 100%, right?
Yeah.
You're at a 100% interest rate. You're not building equity. You're building your
landlord's equity.
Yeah, you're building your landlord's equity.
And rents are through the roof, guys. 8 out of the 10 highest rental markets in the entire country are here in Florida.
Yep.
So rent has really become more of an unaffordable thing. So if you can buy, if you have the down payment to buy, I say buy.
I'd say buy too. And I won't put that in perspective. Why is rent so high? Well, because so many people want to be here in Florida. The demand is so high, or was so high. Maybe it is cooling down a little bit. We'll talk about that in a second. But the demand was so high that builders can't build homes fast enough. First off, the construction time to build a house right now is anywhere from 12 to 16, sometimes 24 months to build a house. And that's crazy. They were during the normal market, pre-pandemic and all this other stuff. They were able to build homes in 6 months, right? 6 to 8 months. And that's just,
some builders could build in 90 days.
90 days, right? They can put them up quick. But point is that I have so many people moving down that they can't build houses fast enough. And so you're not even seeing houses, new construction houses hit the market because they were sold before they even hit the market, mm-hmm. Right? And what's happening is, in Cape Coral, as an example, this is like 2019, 2020, sometime around there, they said the total time to build out Cape Coral was 20 years, like 20 to 30 years. It will take 20 to 30 years before there's no lots available in Cape Coral. Now, we just heard like last week, the city manager for Cape Coral said, we had to change that. We're building homes so fast that we're at like 11 years, like 8 to 11 years, something like that. Again, it's not, no one knows exactly what it's going to be, but that's a drastic reduction in time that Cape Coral is going to be built out. That's how fast Cape Coral is built out.
Yeah. So guys, if you're wondering why that is, because Cape Coral if you're not familiar with it, is the second largest city in Florida, landmass wise. Now, you won't come to Cape Coral and find a bunch of big buildings or skyscrapers or big corporations, because that's just not what the Cape is about. But it is huge in size, landmass wise. And so there are still a ton of vacant lots in Cape Coral, particularly in the north side of the Cape, which was developed last.
Yeah.
And is still developing.
Yeah. So that is the reason why, that demand, will that demand still be there? I think so. I think that there's a lot of retirees out there. That's, we'll talk about the baby boomer generation here in a minute, but there's a lot of retirees out there that still want to move down here. There's a lot of people that have to move down here for one reason or another. And until the construction thing is fixed, I think there's still going to be a lot of demand here.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's a bad time to buy. I don't necessarily think that prices are going to continually to trend like that. They may just kind of go like that. A normal market for Cape Coral, Fort Myers, and the Southwest Florida market, our appreciation is normally around 10%. And then some houses, some neighborhoods, you might get 20, but during this last few years, we're seeing 30%. Like this last year, 30% appreciation, maybe even some houses sell for more than that. That's insane. So we need to slow down somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, that's not sustainable, right? Appreciating 35% every single year is just, it's madness. So we definitely know that that's got to level off. There's got to be some amount of correction. Maybe we'll go back to our normal healthy market of appreciating 8 to 10% per year, which is awesome. I think that, I can't speak for all of Florida, but I think the Cape Coral, Fort Myers market has been undervalued for some time now. So we did need to come up some. Maybe not as much as we did, but we did need to come up some. So I personally will be excited to see that sort of correct and level back off to where it should be.
Right. I want to see some inventory.
Yeah.
I want my buyers to have choices when they come down. We've been working with a few buyers, and Lona and I is kind of selective who we work with on the buy side. You definitely, in this market, you have to be ready to roll in order to buy, up to this point, at least. You couldn't play around. Every property had, 7, 10, 15.
Some of them had 30 offers on them.
It was nuts. So you have to be selective with who you work with. And we were, but I guess it brings me to the next point. Do we think it's going to be a major recession, housing recession? Now that's a two-part question, because you got your economic recession, right? And then you have the housing recession. So that economically, I think there's going to be probably a big recession.
I would agree with that.
I think the government's got to straighten some major stuff out. We need to straighten some stuff out with our government.
Right.
But housing wise, I think the housing market is the only bright spot in the world, right? If there's anything that's going to pull us out of it, I think it's the real estate market, because for several reasons. I think, you have the Gen X and the millennials coming through, and millennials are like the biggest generation,
biggest buyer pool out there too.
Ever. They're bigger than the baby boomers, right?
It's hard to imagine.
They're coming in. And I think somebody said tenfold, but I don't know if they're 10 times, but they're really big, way bigger than the baby boomer generation. And these people are coming of age and buying homes, and some of them are past, way past the age of being able to buy a home. But now you got these people coming into the market and needing to buy a home. So the question is, are they making enough income at the time? Do they have the jobs? And if they do, they got to have somewhere to live.
Yeah.
So economically, I think, yes. Housing, no.
Yeah, I agree with that. Economically, we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know if it's going to be a recession. It could be a depression, right? I wish I had a crystal ball. I do know that inflation is out of control. The government was printing free money and just giving it away during the pandemic. People were getting checks, people were getting loans, and you just cannot keep giving all that free money out, somehow we have to make up for that.
Yep.
And we're seeing it in so many different ways, with gas prices on the rise, groceries on the rise, everything. So we can only bend so far before we break there. Something's got to give. Housing, I'm hoping that you're correct on the housing part. I hope that that's sort of the saving grace here. I feel like, prior to what's happened over the past 2 years, the housing market was always the trendsetter, right?
Yep.
The housing market kind of set the pace for the rest of everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I just don't know what I don't know. And that's where you mentioned early, like the chatter and the negativity and things come in. I don't think that people intentionally mean to be that way, but people are scared. They don't know what to expect. I mean, when the first housing bubble popped in 07, 08, everything that we knew about selling real estate and stuff prior to that point, we had to relearn again, right? We had to learn how to deal with foreclosures. Almost every property that we sold back then was a short sale.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a crazy time. We had to learn how to invest and buy properties and where to go to get money and funding to do that. And then the pandemic hits, and that looks totally different. I mean, literally, maybe that's why I love real estate so much. There's always something new to learn. There's always these crazy challenges, because I've been saying agents that were licensed prior to the pandemic had to basically relearn their business all over yet again, because you got to get scrappy. You got to learn about appraisal gaps. You got to learn how to write the best offer, present the best story, and put your buyer in the best position to win when you're competing against 30 offers, which is something that agents never had to do before prior to that.
Absolutely. I just want to say a prayer real quick. God, please don't ever let us do have a short sale market.
Oh, I hate those. They're the worst. But
if you've never dealt with a bank, be thankful.
I think our longest short sale took like 2.5 years to close. Can you imagine going to work every day for 2.5 years and working on something before you get paid? It's insane.
They cut your commission on it, like nothing. Like you end up working for pennies on the hour is what it feels like. I mean, short sales were a nightmare. Never want to have to relive that again. I'm okay with doing short. We got good at doing short sales. Don't get me wrong. And there will be a time when we're going to do short sales again. I just don't want that to dominate the market, right? I don't want that to be all there is. And I don't think there will be. I really just don't think it will be this time. I think it is different, and definitely here in Southwest Florida than it was in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky.
Oh, for sure. Our market here in Southwest Florida was actually like ground zero. It was one of the top 3 worst markets in the nation whenever it crashed before. But I think there was a lot more of those 90-10 loans and stated income and things like that. And now that mortgages are so hard to come by and the buyer pool of cash buyers is so much higher, there's a lot more equity. The market is a lot more stable. It's a lot healthier than it was before.
Yeah. Going back to it, you had investors at that time investing here because they knew that so many people want to live in this paradise, and they took advantage of it. They took advantage of people, and they were putting people in homes that had no business being in homes. That's basically what it boils down to. And that's why this was ground zero. That is not what's happening right now here. Everything that's happening right here is because it's happening everywhere in the nation, not, something that like that, just different circumstances. So
I think with all that being said, like the best thing that you can do is watch the market.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what's going on. Plug into trusted resources. Again, there's a lot of information out there circulating. Not all of it's good information, guys.
And we're going to show you that.
Let's pull the numbers up and show them. The numbers, it always goes back to the numbers. The numbers don't lie. So I think that's one of the best things that we can do in this video is just show you what has happened and what is and where we're at now.
Yep. So let's look at some statistics. There's quite a few people watching that probably love these sort of charts and stuff. And so this goes back to, let's see, this goes all the way back to January 2019. And what this represents, what I'm going to show you is how many homes were for sale back then compared to what is for sale right now. And I've got the entire MLS. I got Cape Coral and Fort Myers pulled up, and we're going to look at each one of those. Okay. Hopefully I'm still logged into my MLS, and I am. So we'll go back here. So entire MLS wise for the whole Southwest Florida MLS in January of 2019, you can see there were 12,313 homes for sale, right? And if I go over here to May of this year, as of last month, there was 4,151 homes for sale, right? Now, let's do this instead. Let's look at June of 19. So if we go to like June of 2019, how many were there? 10,680 homes for sale. Okay. And
now look at January of this year, so we can compare.
Well, I'm going to do, for June, there was 10,680, 2019. Now let me come over here to MLS. I'm going to take off Fort Myers Beach there and just put single family homes for sale. How many is for sale right now? It might be hard to see on your screen, but there's 3,862 listings for sale on the entire MLS. And if you compare that to June, go back to June 19, there was 10,000. So was that 7,000 less? Like 30, well, let's just call it 4,000 listings right now to compare to 10,680. That's a huge number. There was a lot more homes for sale, 3 times as many homes for sale in June 19. Now, let's do the same thing with Cape Coral. Let's look at Cape Coral here. So Cape Coral, single family homes on the market in June of 2019, there were 2,441 homes for sale, 2,400 homes for sale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see how many are for sale of June as of right now. So if we click on Cape Coral, there's 953 homes for sale in Cape Coral. 953 versus
as opposed to 2,400.
As opposed to 2,400, right? More than double.
Mm-hmm.
More than double. Like almost we're almost triple the amount of homes for sale back then as there are now. Okay. And then let's do the same thing for Fort Myers. Fort Myers, there was in June of 2019, there were 1,610 homes for sale, 1,610. How many are for sale right now? 642. So 642 versus
so about 1,000 less.
Yeah, 1,000 homes less on the market in Fort Myers. So we have, what we're seeing right now is we're seeing this little bump up in inventory. And that's what's got people being negative and kind of freaking out here. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, we're seeing more inventory, but I just showed you, like, we're still way less than what we were in 2019. We need to get inventory. We're normalizing.
We still have a lot of climbing to do.
Yeah, we're not crashed yet.
Right.
Okay. We may be spinning out of control, but we haven't crashed into that tree yet.
That's right.
Right. And so next month, I'm going to do another one of these. We're going to talk market update. I'm going to do the quarterly market update. And I'm going to share with you the real numbers as they are, and you guys will know exactly what it is. So anything else that you think I need to share on that particular piece, Lona?
Well, I just kind of wanted to glance at January of this year, if you have it available, to show them what inventory looked like in January as opposed to what it looks like now.
January of 2019?
No, 2022.
Okay, January of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
That was January 2022, homes for sale.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you want me to look at.
Yeah.
The entire MLS had 3,934 homes for sale.
Mm-hmm. And how much does it have now?
And how much does the MLS have now? Let's see. Go back to it's 3,800. 62 listings for sale.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot less, right? A lot less. And we can go in to look at closed sales and things like that, months of supply, and we will. But the problem is like these systems that tell us our stats are only up through May, right? And the biggest changes are happening right now. They're happening in June. So that's why I just showed you how many listings are on the market as of right now. There'll be a lot more work to do to try to find the closed sales that happened just in June and things, but I will show you that in the next 30 days. We'll keep you posted. But for right now, just don't freak out. Don't freak out. I'm not saying don't listen to what the news is saying. You should always be hearing what they're saying. I just would take it with a grain of salt.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. So let me get rid of this. And then what else we need to talk about?
So on a positive note, there will be, some more inventory coming into the market. And you were going to talk about that and how that relates to baby boomers.
Yeah. So we talked about the biggest generation being the millennials coming through. The generation that was the biggest generation before that was the baby boomers.
Mhm.
They're now the second largest generation, right? So the second largest generation ever, they're age-wise, they're sitting at 83 to 84 years old. That means a lot of baby boomers are probably going to be moving out of their independent living situations and have to move into a different situation, whatever that looks like. And what happens is when they move out of those independent situations, out having those homes, those homes are going to have to go on the market or go, come up for sale.
Yeah. So that will create a lot of inventory.
Yeah. Relieve some of that pressure.
Sure.
And so hopefully prices will stop. I think it has to. They have to stop growing so fast or stop appreciating so fast. They'll slow down a little bit because we have more inventory. More listings mean less demand, right? Or the demand can be there. I'm just saying the more listings, now you have more to choose from and more of a selection. You have more competition on the listing side of things, which is going to bring the prices down.
Exactly. I'm excited to see more listings hit the market because buyers need choices.
Absolutely.
Buyers, the last thing you want to do is to sell someone something and them have buyer's remorse because they had to jump through all these hoops and give the whole barn away just to buy the house, right?
Barn? Where are you still from Kentucky? We don't have barns here in Florida.
Well, they had to promise to name their firstborn child after the seller or just do whatever crazy thing that it took to buy a home. And so I'm really, really excited to see buyers have some choices again and have a little say in what they pay for a property and see some negotiation between terms in the real estate contract.
Absolutely. So anything else that we need to talk about?
I think we covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you have any questions, comments, you want to talk about any things that we talked about, you feel free to go into the comments section there and we will get back to you. We will, we can have a conversation in that comment section about what we think's happening and things like that. So answer your questions there. Hopefully you learned a lot from this video. If you want to keep up to date on what's happening in our real estate market and also know the things to do, the good places to go to eat, where to shop. I'm going to talk about diving, the good diving and fishing spots out on the Gulf here. If you want to learn about those things, hit that subscribe button below or hit that bell button. And that bell button, what happens is you'll be notified whenever we put out the content. And I'm just go ahead and say it. Our information that we put out, it's only good for a certain amount of time because the market's always changing, right? So you want to stay up to date with the content that we put out, especially as it relates to real estate. If you do care about Southwest Florida real estate, what's happening here. But as always, we're really grateful that you tuned in today and you're watching. I'm Doug Lugers.
I'm Lona Lugers.
Thanks for watching.